put his badge on the line for justice.
You know the name Doug Poppa?
Yes, I do. God bless Doug Poppa, an honest cop.
I was elated, of course, but then as he testified, I was somewhat concerned for him, because I knew that they were probably going to crucify that man.
Sometimes the truth has a price. That may be the lesson of a Virginia police officer who says, in trying to do the right thing, he ended up paying for it.
The message you're sending is, see, we did it, Doug. You don't come out, you don't buck the system. No matter what the reason is, you just can basically keep your mouth shut. But if I wouldn't do it all over again, I would take the badge and I would leave it on somebody's desk and get out of police work. Because the day I can't tell the truth because somebody's pressuring me, and the day the system doesn't want me to tell the truth because somebody's pressuring me, is the day I'd leave the badge on the desk and walk away.
Poppa was fired for insubordination. One man who confronted truth and consequences.
From Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Doug Poppa, Truth and Consequences Podcast. Welcome to episode 91 for Sunday, February 13th, 2022. This is another exclusive news story from Truth and Consequences with Doug Poppa. Apparently, security threats are non-existent at Harry Reid International Airport in Las Vegas. So much so that according to police sources, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Airport Bureau Police Officer David V. as in Victor Miller, P number 5619, decided last week to watch a movie on his cell phone that obviously must have been not very interesting, because Miller fell asleep while watching the movie, in full view of airport passengers who were just screened at the TSA checkpoint. Miller was at his duty assignment at the C Annex podium at about 9 o'clock a.m., about an hour into his day shift. Nothing wrong with sleeping on duty, I guess. We all have to take a nap now and then, even if you are a uniformed police officer with a weapon, radio, and other gear that anyone could very well have relieved you of while you were in dreamland, notwithstanding the fact that the police podium is in the secure area of the terminal. Many police officers carry knives on their duty belt, and Airport Bureau cops are known to have backpacks in their possession that contain backup weapons. So, what would happen if while you were asleep, someone removes those weapons from the officer's possession without his knowledge? Now, someone has a weapon that can be brought onto an aircraft, because like I said earlier, the Metro Police podiums are located in the secure TSA checkpoint area after passengers have already been screened. How can you respond if another airport officer was calling on the radio for assistance and you didn't hear the call because you were asleep? What if someone breached the TSA checkpoint and they needed assistance? All those factors should be considered if you start dozing off, and maybe that should knock some sense into you to stand up and move around. After all, in the least, you wouldn't want to miss a good movie on your cell phone. Listen, folks, I'm being facetious here. In reality, there's nothing funny or amusing about a police officer falling asleep on duty, anywhere, especially with all the ambushes of police officers over the years. Situational awareness is what keeps you alive. If you are stationed at the Airport Bureau, sleeping on duty is a threat to security. So anyway, while Miller was asleep at the podium, Las Vegas Metro Police Deputy Chief James J. Seabach, who was off-duty traveling, spotted Miller asleep while on duty with the movie still playing on his cell phone. According to police sources, Seabach blew a gasket, and rightfully so. Before waking up Miller, Deputy Chief Seabach pulled out his own cell phone and snapped multiple pictures of Miller asleep and sent them to Miller's captain, Gregory Munson. From that point, you know what happened. The crap started to roll downhill. Seabach chewed out Captain Munson, who chews out the lieutenant, who chews out the sergeant. But it didn't stop there, folks. As has been the case many times in the past, when one cop screws up, oftentimes others have to pay the price, and this incident was no exception. The rank-and-file airport cops are feeling the brunt of it. According to Las Vegas Metro Police internal memorandum that was sent out to the Airport Bureau sergeants and relayed to the officers by word of mouth, officers are now only allowed to sit for 15 minutes of every hour. The other 45 minutes, they must be on their feet standing up inside the podium, or standing up outside the podium, or walking around the TSA checkpoint. If anyone is caught sitting for more than 15 minutes in a 1-hour time period, they're going to remove the chairs from the podium. Airport Bureau police officers who are stationed at the podiums now have the use of their cell phones curtailed. No more texting or using the cell phones. If they need to use their cell phone, say for a family emergency, they need to call another officer to take them over while they use the cell phone out of public view. Squad communication by group text messages are also now limited. I was told that Deputy Chief Seebach is pushing for a 40-hour suspension. Officer David V. Miller has close to 25 years of service, and rumor has it that he may just retire in lieu of facing disciplinary charges. Miller is not the first Las Vegas Metro Police Airport Bureau police officer to be caught sleeping by a superior. A few years back, then Airport Bureau officer Marcelino Mills, P number 7944, was observed sleeping by then Las Vegas Metro Police Undersheriff Kevin McMahill and his wife, then Deputy Chief Kelly McMahill, who were off-duty traveling. Yes, folks, nepotism is alive and well in the Metro Police Department. The McMahills reported it at the time, but according to sources who spoke to me, did not intervene. The McMahills came under criticism by other cops because they did not even check if Officer Mills may have had a medical episode. A very long story short, Mills was booted out of the airport and received a suspension. Mills appealed his punishment to the appeals board and was shocked to see that Kelly McMahill was sitting on the board, as she was a witness against him. Clear-cut case of a conflict of interest, in my opinion. I was told that when Mills complained to his captain, Shane Womack, about Kelly McMahill sitting on the appeals board, he was told to shut up and forget about it by Womack. Former Undersheriff Kevin McMahill is a candidate for Clark County Sheriff, which would make him the head of the Las Vegas Metro Police. According to sources, McMahill has a serious drinking problem, but that should not disqualify him to be sheriff, because he's not alone in that area. A former sheriff was also a notorious drunk, who once fell out of the chair during a departmental staff meeting. It's no wonder that the Las Vegas Metro Police were not prepared for the October 1st, 2017 Las Vegas massacre on many levels, a fact that Sheriff Lombardo admitted to in his after-action review. And Lombardo thinks that his incompetence, corruption, and cover-ups should qualify himself to be the next governor of Nevada. As Sheriff Joe Lombardo's undersheriff, McMahill was complicit in numerous cover-ups with Lombardo, some that I have already exposed, including the cover-up of police negligence and incompetence that led to the kidnapping and rape of a 12-year-old girl in 2019, and others that are forthcoming. McMahill has yet to explain a 1995 incident when he was brought up on charges with another officer for telling a woman to show them her vagina, while the other officer forced her to eat crack cocaine. I will have more on that in another episode. Thanks for listening, folks, and remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel of Truth and Consequences with Doug Poppa by hitting the red subscribe button. Audio podcasts of all my episodes are available on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Radio Public, and other platforms. Support my independent investigative journalism at paypal.me/Doug Poppa. On an upcoming episode, you will hear from a retired New York City Police Department internal affairs detective whose comments mirror comments made by Las Vegas Metro police officers who have spoken to me over the years about internal affairs investigations.